So to begin our last group of reviews, we have Alexis's work, and Alexis also did photography at the West Side Bazaar, and I'll just give you a second or two to read her artist statement. But again, I like the length of this artist statement. It says a little bit about the place, says a little bit about her experience. It sort of invites us to look at the images, and also stresses that there's important work going on at this place, and asks us to give it a chance, I guess would be the best way to put it. So nice job with that. And of course, to the images here, the one thing I'm really excited that we have the opportunity to see is to look at Kat's work from the West Side Bazaar in color, and then Alexis's work in black and white. I think you're going to notice a completely different look and feel to them between the two different projects. But nonetheless, both of them are very much valid and very much successful in their own ways. So of course we start out with the obligatory title or opening shot. You know, exactly what I would kind of expect from this. I think we certainly do need a shot that is an opening shot that says a little bit about the place, and even this sign has some unique elements to it, from the way the A's are formed in Bazaar to that hand with the globe being held up high, and it says something about this place being sort of a place for people from all over the world. And then a little detail that I think says a lot about the people that are there. What I would just again kind of point to, as we talked about with some others, I think the image is just looking a little bit flat and gray, so we can kind of just give it a little bit more punch just by doing a little curves adjustment, something like that. But nonetheless, really great shot. And again, I love how it's not perfectly centered. It's kind of on the diagonal, which again, as I've said before, the diagonal is going to tend to be a little bit more active in the way we perceive it. So it shows the energy that is present in this place and around the people that work there. And I'm sorry, I actually went out of order there, but we'll bring back to the first image, which again, we go from sort of that commercial sign in the first frame of the series to this one that's kind of more handwritten. And what I really love about this is also this beautiful light that's falling on it. So the light that's kind of almost chopping it in half kind of echoes the way the writing here is also sort of chopped in half, and some of it is going vertically, some of it's going horizontally, some of it's kind of in big blockier writing, others is in thin more stick-like letters. So all of this is just really nicely done. Again, I'm kind of going to go in and look at my curves a little bit, or actually my levels, and maybe I just tweak them a little bit. In fact, I'm seeing some detail up here that I think we could kind of bring out with just a teeny little bit of an adjustment. So here's how you would work that. I do the levels adjustment like that. I go in, I image, adjustments, invert, and then we're just going to paint in just this area up here, which I think that area, this area here, now we get more of the details in there, and of course we can just toggle that back a little bit. So again, just a little minor adjustment, minor refinement, and I think we've got a great shot. It's fascinating. This image in Kat's work was done in color, and you saw how the woman was kind of surrounded by all of these colorful dream catchers, are they? Or I'm not sure what those devices are, but nonetheless, that there was all this colorful things that were surrounding him that I think, or her, that I think were really great. In this instance, our attention, I think, because everything's kind of dark in the background now, just really is much more focused in on her face. And again, sort of that smile that is, certainly a happy smile, but you can also kind of tell that she's a little bit shy and maybe not so used to having her photo taken. But I definitely applaud you for getting in there and asking her whether you can take her photograph. So it's great to have these two different images to just, kind of compare, and we can see how our eye is kind of attracted to different things within in the photograph, and we can see that two different photographs can be read very much two different ways. Again, a nice little sign in the group of images. Beautiful tonal range in here. I think this is a really nice black and white conversion on this one. I think you did a super job there on that one, Alexis. And again, more focus on signs. This part of the window in the place is in really bright sunlight, and this area here is in a darker area. So what you're getting here is this stuff is kind of getting a little bit washed out in this area. I'm not sure we're going to be able to recover that even with a yeah, it's just rather than bringing out the details, it's just bringing more gray into the photograph. So this is a tough one, and probably in camera raw you might be able to bring back some of this a little bit better than you would just in the regular Photoshop window. So in this instance, I definitely play around with it a little bit, but I think this is a tough one, and if I had to edit one out, this might be one that I knock out of the series just for that reason. Another image, again, I think this woman was in our previous shots from Kat's work also. And again, I just wonder if we can lighten her face up just a teeny bit. And hopefully you guys see me doing this adjustment a lot. Just, something like that. And then I'm actually going to do another one and grab some detail in her blouse here and invert that and then paint that back on, something like that. And then we get a little bit more detail in there where her blouse isn't completely washed out. Kind of a tough thing to get shots like this where we have a really bright object and then a lot of other dark things behind it. So kind of a tough exposure. And this is, again, in camera raw, where you probably would be able to manipulate this stuff a little bit better than you would just in the straight Photoshop window or the Photoshop application. But nevertheless, again, very, very nice image, and I think it's quite successful. I almost wonder if seeing all these different signs in the store that maybe you could almost eliminate all the people and just do different signs. I know that you got a lot of them here, and each one of them is kind of different and kind of reflects the character of the country that they come from, and perhaps even the people that made them. So another shot here, I think this is another one where we get a good contrast between Kat's version and your versions here. I really like this shot, especially if we lighten up his face a little bit, bring back this stuff here. We want to make sure we have the details in these buns, and I think doing something like that looks a little bit better. You know what, the thing that gets me about this image, when we convert it to black and white, it really begins to feel timeless. This image could have been taken in 1970. This image could have been taken in 2016. It feels timeless, which in many ways speaks to the immigrant experience that over generations, or for the last decades or century, we've had immigrants come to this country, and by converting this to black and white, it sort of makes these immigrants from 2016 part of the immigrant experience that's really been going on for the last 100 years in this country. So I really like the black and white for this shot. I think it's very strong and works really well. And then of course this as your finishing slide, which again we talked about a little bit, but I think it just is a good closer to it. And I like the fact that Work Harder is in a different color or a different tone of black and white than the rest of it. So it's kind of like putting a nice exclamation point on the end of your project. So Alexis, it's very well done. Really like the black and whites. I think your conversions were for the most part really well done. Just that one image, I think we could probably edit that out. But otherwise, really strong project, and I think you and Kat have done a great job of sort of taking similar images and interpreting them in a completely different way. So thanks for sharing that with us, and look forward to seeing your images from the final project in a couple weeks here. And then last but not least, we have Francesco's work. And he again is working with the same soup kitchen that Lucian did. And I really love his artist statement. His artist statement kind of sort of starts out with a little bit of a historical background, which again I think helps add to the whole story or the whole narrative about this place. You're kind of adding value to your photographs that almost has to be done through words rather than photographs. So I think you've done a really great job. Another really strong artist statement. So hopefully you guys just hit pause and have a chance to read that. So Francesco, I do apologize. I have to open your images up in preview rather than Photoshop. I'm not sure. There's like some strange JPEG marker on there that I couldn't really figure out. Certainly the images all are coming up here in preview, so I don't think you did anything wrong. I just think somehow in the download that there's some sort of strange conversion going on. So anyhow, we can look at them in preview, and that shouldn't really be much of a problem here. So opening image, again, we've seen the formula over and over again here, starting out with an establishing shot, something wide, that gives an overview or an overall impression of the place that you're going to photograph. Here we've got sort of a half empty, half full room that looks like it's just being prepared for the clients, and looks like we have 3 people waiting there on the left that might be people that ultimately will be served in this facility. So again, I think it looks good. I wonder if the image might be a little bit brighter, if that might work out. Again, the idea that it's a little bit dark, it almost looks kind of like a scary place. And I think if we just made it a little bit brighter, I think that it'd bring just a little bit more sense of life and optimism to everything. So second image, kind of shooting through what looks like maybe a service window or something like that. So in many ways it kind of looks like we're sort of a voyeur to what's going on here. I think the really cool thing here is that everybody's facing sort of out and sort of looking on what might be going on in the kitchen here. I think this again sort of reflects the idea that things are being prepared. There's sort of a background story or a background action and movement that's taking place here before all the people arrive and before all the people that are being served. So again, that background story is very much part of the whole story itself. So it's just not a story about the people that are being served there. It's also about the people that are volunteering there. So really like that. A great shot in the kitchen. You can kind of see the gesture and expression of these people, and sort of the busyness that takes place. But again, like so many other people in the class, you've done a really nice job of organizing the frame, and the busyness and the chaos is still very easily read and easily organized. I think it's because you've got sort of this nice line that comes in here and sort of frames stuff, and she's looking this direction, he's looking that direction, and then he's looking down to the pot. All of that works. If there's anything here that I might want to refine, just sort of the stray arm that is in the background there. It kind of feels like it's just sort of poking out and, almost in a strange way, protruding from her body in a weird spot. So I think that's one refinement that we might want to correct. And again, it's maybe just a matter of moving over to the right or to the left just a little bit, so it's not in that kind of weird, awkward spot on her. And then I love this shot. I mean, this shot, all of the repeating squares here sort of are like all these planes that sort of continue very deep into the background. Even, the tables and the squares and the tray back there, and even the microwave oven or whatever that device is there. All of that stuff, sort of the patterns just lead our eye beautifully through this and create a sense of depth and dimension. And, also love just how both of these are sort of both of these people are actively engaged in, filling up the presentation platters. So, good shot. Really like this a lot. And then there's the chef sort of waiting things out in the corner. Again, sort of that idea of being patient, waiting for the food ultimately to be prepared and served to the people. So love the fact that you're putting him in the corner here. There's this long line of empty space here, and it's kind of a tranquil feeling that's going on in here because everything's so level and because everything sort of plays off of each other. We've got him on one side juxtaposed against sort of the emptiness on the other side, other than these little boxes where the vinyl gloves are stored. So again, really nice shot. Picture the dining room from another direction. I almost like this image over your first image as an overall shot here, because you kind of almost get a sense of, like, I guess these are excuse me, these are students here or volunteers, and they're juxtaposed against, it looks like, the people that are waiting to be served here on the other side. So I think it kind of gives us a nice comparison between the people who are volunteering and the people who are actually being served there. And in many ways, you can see sort of the body positions, the gesturing of them. They're all sort of self-confident and easygoing here, whereas the people in the background, we can kind of, oh, I'm sorry, we can kind of see how sort of the weight of their life experiences are sort of affecting their body position and their body posturing and stuff like that. So I think this frame really tells a little bit more of a story than simply just being an overview of the whole place. So I like that a lot, and I'd probably kick out that first image that you did. And again, some behind the scenes shots. I really love what you did here. This is a tough shot to take. I mean, I'm sure the lighting is pretty low in here, but you really did a good job of making sure that the image isn't super noisy, and everything's in focus. We don't see any motion blur, anything like that. And you get a sense of sort of that banter that goes on behind the scenes in the kitchen. So again, just sort of a really neat interaction, sort of story within a story going on. And then the last shot here, I love this shot. I mean, it's just a really, really wonderful portrait. I've seen this guy now in a bunch of images, and I think out of all of them, this one really connects with me. I don't know whether it's, just maybe because he's looking right into the camera, or he's kind of just juxtaposed against that guy in the background. You can almost see the two of them kind of joking around as you're taking the photograph, and you can see sort of how they're just as human as the people that they're serving in there, and I think I really get that mostly just because I can see their eyes, and I can connect with them, and it becomes a very personal, intimate portrait here. So great job. Really love this group of images. Again, you gave us a nice opportunity to compare a color version of this to our previous black and white version of it. So, again, I think we kind of get a different look and feel from these, but ultimately, I think both of the projects from this location are really successful. So well done with your work. Really proud of what you and what everyone's done with the service learning project. I think we've had a lot of really good projects to look at, and a lot of growth through the semester so far. So look forward to seeing everyone's work at the end of the semester here, and I'm sure we'll have a couple more videos before we wrap things up. But for now, we'll say goodbye to everyone, and we'll see you again in our next series of video feedbacks.